Welcome to Think Bigger Voices, hosted by Jennie Treby and co-produced by Tony DiBenedetto. We're on a mission to break the cycle of poverty for kids in America by inspiring education, advocacy, and action in our communities. We'll tackle big subjects, talk to the experts, and promote the solutions making an impact. Join us if you believe that every kid deserves the opportunity to think bigger.
Hi, welcome to Think Bigger Voices. This is Jennie Treby. Today we're talking about an innovative educational model that provides financially disadvantaged high schoolers with private education, work study starting freshman year, along with AP coursework. It's really impressive. And today our guest is Dr. Patrick Liang. He is the president and CEO of Cristo Rey Tampa Salesian High School. Welcome.
Thank you, Jennie. It's great to be here. I've seen some of your podcasts and I've seen some of the guests, and these are powerhouses in the community. So I'm honored to be here speaking with you. Thank you. And I'm very excited to talk about Cristo Rey.
Okay, well, you're a powerhouse as well. So we're really excited to talk about Cristo Rey because as we've talked about, even with what we do at Think Big, there's so much interconnectedness with the Cristo Rey here in Tampa, but also this national network. So I wanted to start, though, by have you tell us a little bit about yourself, because you're relatively new to the role here as president and CEO, and you don't have an educational background. So I wanted to ask you to talk to us a little bit about yourself.
Correct. So again, I'll go back to your previous guests. I listened to them and what fascinating, interesting stories they have. I consider myself boring, but I'll try to jazz it up and kind of give you my history. So thank you. Yes, I actually grew up in Tampa. Went to school, local schools here for middle school, grade school, and for high school. Went away to the University of Florida for college, got my degrees actually in engineering. So you're right, I had no inclination that I was ever going to become a teacher or get into education. I was, really good at math and science, so I was kind of geared towards engineering. So I got my degrees there, worked my way through college, which will come into play as to how I got linked into Cristo Rey. And then when I graduated, I actually moved up to Northeast for my first job in New Jersey.
And so you recently retired from JP Morgan Chase in New York City. So tell us how you got from Wall Street back to Tampa leading a nonprofit school. Yeah.
So I realized that I probably don't understand what the word retirement means when I did it. So I spent most of my career in the tech field. I did transfer to JP Morgan for my final few years. So I think that's a good background to talk to students about kind of finding your niche and not necessarily being in one spot. So I was in New York City for my final few years. It was a long commute from where I lived into the city. Enjoyed being in the office working, just didn't enjoy getting there. Mm-hmm. So plus I grew up in Tampa, like I said. It was cold, so every winter seemed to be getting worse. The snow was getting heavier, and it really probably wasn't. It was just me getting older. But at some point, my wife and I talked about it. Both our sons had graduated from college. They've gotten their own jobs. So I said, you know what? It's probably time for change. Take things easy. Go back to my hometown of Tampa. I'll show her around and just kind of enjoy the warm weather and retirement.
So what is it, though, about the Cristo Rey mission that connected you to taking this role?
So it's interesting because I really didn't know about Cristo Rey when I moved down here. A friend of mine invited me to their November Gala, which is their big fundraiser. And actually, Jennie, I wasn't going to go. I had other plans, but I got hurt playing basketball. I was on crutches, so I didn't have anything else to do. So I said, all right, I'll go to this gala. And I had really no inclination. I was just going to go, maybe grab some drinks, grab some free food, and see what it was all about. Got to meet some of the faculty and staff about the mission, and especially got to speak with the students. And what struck me, Jennie, was these students came up to me. This one young man, Nelson, came up to me, introduced himself. He actually was interning at JP Morgan at the time, so we got into a discussion. But it struck me in my years of corporate, kind of the soft skills hit me. So this young man, Nelson, came up to me. He made eye contact. He shook hands. He introduced himself. He talked. And we had a very pleasant conversation. And I guess it dawned on me that this young man is in high school. And look at the skills he has. Look at the experience he has. It's amazing. And it's a great model. He told me about his family background, about how Cristo Rey's kind of given him and his family a chance to kind of change the trajectory of his life by getting education and work experience. So I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I know I didn't want to get back into corporate. That wasn't my kind of my meaning. I wanted to get away from that. But you look in the mirror sometimes, Jennie, and you say, what have I really done to help society, right? And I worked a lot of jobs, and I made a lot of money for companies. But at this point, I'm saying, it's time to do something good, have a different value proposition on what do I do in life. And I said, Cristo Rey was kind of put in front of me, and I think this is an opportunity. So I applied for the job.
And you got it.
I did get it. And you know what? My wife constantly asked me, how the heck did they hire you? And like you said, I have no educational background. I've never taught in a school. She knows I could never be a teacher. I'm too impatient. So there were possibly other influences there that kind of led me to this position and get me in there.
Well, I know that they're happy to have you. So tell us a little bit about Cristo Rey and the model. Tell us about how you go about educating these phenomenal kids.
Yeah. So Cristo Rey, the model is basically, in a nutshell, it's a combination of academics and work experience. And what we're doing is we're trying to really change the cycle of poverty for our students. So Cristo Rey only serves families from limited incomes, right? So as such, Jennie, I always kind of go out and brag that Cristo Rey Tampa is the toughest high school in the city to get into. Because not only do we have academic standards, we go through the normal interview and make sure we get the right students, there's income limitations, so not everyone qualifies. So what we want to do is sort of level the playing field for a lot of these students that maybe want to have a different option in 9th through 12th grade. They can't afford some of the more pricier schools. And we also offer the work experience piece on top of the academics, very rigorous academic program. So we really challenge them. When I go out to different schools, both our feeder schools, which are Catholic schools, as well as public schools, I'm honest with the students. I'm like, you're going to be challenged. It's not an easy path to take. But whether they know it or not, and most young people don't, it's actually good for them. This is preparing them for college. It's preparing them for life, because life isn't easy, and you can't just basically get through on the easiest path in life.
Good point. Good point. So talk to us a little bit about work study, because I was surprised to find out that you all start in freshman year. So they get to work freshman year. So tell us how that works.
Yes. So, I'll be honest with you. When they first told me about it, I come from a corporate background. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you got 14-year-old coming in? Like, what would this young man or woman be doing in my group? So I was skeptical at first, right? But then I started meeting the students. I get to understand them. And really, they are capable of so much. And these are students that have led a life that they've had to work for everything that they've had, right? So they're not entitled. They're not sitting there being given a whole lot in their life. They've worked for everything. So they're hungry. They're ambitious. They want to learn. And that's what I love about this model, because you know what? They want to get that education. They know now from what Cristo Rey's taught them that an education is the best path to success and to get your family out of the cycle of poverty. The work experience is huge. Yes, freshman year is important because you know what? We offer a team of students to our work study partners. So it's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And what it is, it's sort of a career path for these students. Obviously, a freshman can't do the same thing as a sophomore, a junior, senior. So they usually start off in more introductory type of activities, maybe some filing, maybe some basic customer support, a lot of learning. But they're in the environment. They're learning from colleagues, mentors. They're growing. And then by their sophomore year, they're really hitting their stride and going through and then getting more responsibilities. And then I'm sure we'll talk about this soon. Like the jobs they have at these partners are unbelievably fascinating and amazing, the capabilities that these students can do.
Well, tell us about some of that then. Yeah.
So I can tell you we have people at Baycare. Alexandra at Baycare, she works at patient services. She does food preparation. She takes menu ordering. So she'll work with patients. And when I talk to her, it's amazing because she'll sit there and have this, and usually when you're in a hospital, you're not in a good mood. You're kind of cranky, and the hospital food isn't the best in the world. Right. So she has to deal with a lot of skills to manage that stuff, go and get the right order, send and go back to the patient and deliver the food. There's a lot of different skills involved there, like listening, functioning under difficult situations, working with nurses. So the Baycare is one of our biggest partners, and there's a wide range of areas that we help there, including HR, nursing, and transportation. So It's one of those things where Baycare has found value with our students, and our students, they realize that once they started, they're capable of so much, and they can spread out and branch out. When I talked to the president of Baycare Maine, he was complaining about staffing shortages, never having enough people, never having the right pipeline, right? And there's always excuses on why somebody couldn't show up. And so here's Cristo Rey, our model. We solve all that. We've got a constant pipeline of students, great attitudes. They show up because we provide transportation. They'll be there every day. If not, our team manages any type of performance issues or any type of misses, and we're in communications with them. On their part, they love the attitude, they love the work ethic, they love the learning. And in the future, they have a pipeline of employees that when they go away and go to college, data shows that they will come back, a lot of them will come back, and they have a pipeline of future employees ready and waiting and work for Baycare in the future.
And then to think that, okay, so they're working, right? But they are also taking, I think you mentioned that every student has at least one AP course that they take.
Yes.
So that's a heavy academic load.
It is. It's a long day too. So we start at 7:45 every morning with a convocation where we all get together and we talk about this, the student objectives, our mission, so everyone's aware before they go off either to classes or to their work study program. And classes don't get out till 4 o'clock. So it's a long day for high school students. I remember when I was up in New Jersey, and some of my kids would be home at like 1:30. I'm like, what are you doing home?
Right.
Why aren't you in school? It's a half day. So it's a long day. And you're right, it is a lot to handle. 1 day a week, they are not in class. They are actually at their work site. And so they have to make it up. And it's rigorous. There is AP for all, like you mentioned. A lot of them are taking dual enrollment. So a lot of students graduate as at least, sophomores, maybe even juniors in college when they're done.
So tell us a little bit more about some of your other corporate partners.
So some of the testimonials came from Hazen and Sawyer, which is an engineering firm who has one of our students there, and they love her. She's actually participating in all type of water tasting events with them and actually doing data analysis for them. So it's not just kind of an observed type role with our students, they're actually active. We have a lot of government agencies. So I know Victor Chris was there, and I know his office in Tampa employs our students. I had a chance to talk to him, loves our students, loves our models. They sit there and they can do a lot of the tasks that help their staff along, greeting people. A lot of our students are bilingual. So I heard today that our students are able to sit there and talk to some of these people coming into the clerk's office, direct them to the right place in another language, in Spanish, so that they don't have to find somebody to do it. And they're very comfortable doing that with somebody who just comes in. And like they said, when you go into this office, you're not usually in a good mood and don't want to be there.
Right.
So the students have to deal with that. We have accounting firms, CLA. And one of our students was up there talking. She's been there 2 years. And you're right, so I have my view of accountants, and it's not something a whole lot of students want to get into. But she said she's learned a lot from being in that accounting firm. And it's not only the hard skills, it's the soft skills of being in that environment with other accountants and other professionals and how to behave and how to act. And I can just see it in their demeanors and the way they talk to you and in the way they behave. It shows overall in the way they are as a person.
So again, we have your students who are working and they've got pretty rigorous academics, but they're also traditional high school students. So do you have, clubs and activities and sports that they can do?
We do, and that's a great point because we are different in our model, but yes, we are a high school. So we do have the classes, and yes, we do want to make sure we have extracurriculars and sports. Obviously, with the work study program, the logistics are different. With transportation being an issue, it's different. But we do have our lunch period. We do offer numerous clubs. They include, we have chess club, we have the fishing club, art club. So there's a lot of different areas, and a lot of them are student driven. We take feedback from the students on what they're interested in, and we try to create those clubs. Sports, we have boys and girls sports in basketball. We have girls volleyball. We just started flag football for girls. We have cross country. Now, the interesting thing about sports is we're a small school, and we don't focus especially on sports, so we're not the highest competitor in these sports. But what's great is I talk to these students, and a lot of these students say, you know what? I'm playing volleyball for the first time. I'm playing soccer for the first time. At these other schools, high schools, they wouldn't even see anything near the field. And now they're enjoying themselves, they're having fun, and I'm watching them, winner, losing. They are so with each other, and it's teamwork, and it's just the spirit and the attitude, Jenny. Like, I don't think I was like that. I'm probably still not like that when I lose and things like that. So it's amazing the spirit they carry to be able to have that available to them at Cristo Rey.
That more traditional kind of high school experience.
Correct. I mean, having the uniforms and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What about other resources that you have, at the school for these students and their families?
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing the demographic of student we serve, there are other concerns and issues that they face, right? One of them is food security. We have a food pantry available to them a few days a week. It's helped run by our parents' club. I've actually able to go through and help, although I'm not sure how much I help other than getting away, but it's phenomenal. You see the kids coming through. They have lists from their parents. And I know that when I talked to my team in the beginning, there's some of that stigma, I'm going to go get food. But that's the difference in culture that we have here. It's like now these students know this is important for their families. They'll come in and grab what they need. Our staff is great and say, hey, why don't you take this extra stuff, things that we know they like, and they fill up their bags and go home with it. We also have 2 mental health clinicians on staff, which is a lot different. So, and I'm learning all this stuff as I go, Jenny.
Sure.
A lot of our students experience a lot of trauma in their lives. And so as such, they need somebody to talk to, and not necessarily their classmates or even their teachers. So we do have clinicians that will talk to them about how do you feel, how do you get through, to make sure that they're focused, because I think with the rigorous academic curricula and the work study that we talked about, you can't be hungry. You got to have the food service. They're not going to be well, right? Yeah. And you can't be mentally off by having this trauma and things weighing you down. So all these things, we want to kind of complete that whole picture of a student that is mentally prepared, physically prepared, and have the right attitude to be successful through their 4 years.
Kids have so much on their plate. I mean, that they're juggling, and that what a great way that you're serving them.
And they don't necessarily have this in their home life to be able to offload some of this stuff. A lot of times, like one of the things, like we're not only a school, we're a home for them. They feel safe, they feel comfortable. This is a good place to be. A lot of them just like to hang out afterwards because it's a safe place, it's a comfortable place for them.
Oh, that's great. Highly motivated kids.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about your faculty, because I mean, obviously you've got this, high school faculty that's, training these kids on all of the, traditional high school courses, but then also kind of helping and supporting them as they work. So tell us a little bit about your faculty.
You're right. And so I've been in the corporate long enough to know that the culture of any organization is extremely important. And for school, I mean, the teachers are the backbone. They have to sit there. They see the students every day. They have to understand the culture. So first of all, they have to understand the mission, right? We are a Catholic. We are a college preparatory. So coming in as freshmen, all families and students should know that, right? You shouldn't be asking us by your junior year, why am I going to college? What's the purpose? Everyone's on board. So there's a culture. This is what we're trying to do. We know the demographic we're serving, right? We know that sometimes they come in a bit behind some of the other schools, right? So the care and the time and support that I see our teachers give is amazing, right? And I said, I can never be a teacher. I don't have the patience, right? I say one thing once and I expect, all right, let's move on. Let's go to the next thing. I know these teachers have to sit there and make sure it gets through. It's very important. And I see the caring. I talk to them as much as I can, Jenny. And it's just an amazing group of people that really wants to kind of help these students change their lives. So it's very special.
Very purpose-filled work, I'm
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah. Tell us about the families, because I would imagine that most of your students is it going to be first-generation college?
Yeah, we're looking at about 82%.
82%,
Right,
first-generation
first gen.
college. So tell us a little bit about the families, because that has to be a pretty big commitment on their part as well.
It is. And it's an interesting dynamic. Like 82% of these families have never been to college. Some haven't been through high school. So they know that high school is important, and they are our biggest supporters through high school and will help. But they don't necessarily understand education very well. Sure. A lot of these families also are working multiple jobs. So I see that these students have almost become the adults, and they're responsible for a lot of things, not only for their homework. As you mentioned, yeah, they're working with a corporate partner. They've got their coursework, and they've also got family duties when they get home. So these families negotiate through a lot, but they're the greatest supporters. They know they want something different for the kids. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When they graduate high school and they go to college, go away. This is where the narrative changes a bit with some of these families. Again, they don't understand it. They only see that their son or daughter is now going away. Now we don't have that extra set of hands around the house, the extra driver, the extra person cooking. So when they're away at college, you get a, hey, what are you doing there? What's college? Is this really worth it kind of stuff? This is where Cristo Rey comes into play, because our mission is getting all of our students not only to college, but through college. So persistence is very important. So just getting them in is not good enough for us. We need to make sure they persist and get a degree. And this is where the tide turns a little bit with the families. They want the best, but they don't understand it. All they know is the hardships that they're encountering their way. There is some cost to them, which we can talk about. It's minimal considering what college costs these days. I mean, it's under $3,000, which is an incredible number for these families. But they still don't understand it. What's going to happen? Why are you away for 4 years? What's going to happen after that? There is more of a short-term thinking with these families than the long-term.
Survival.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Survive. So that's where our alumni advisors come in, visit these students to make sure that they persist, that, you know what, you're there for a reason. Just constantly remind them that there is that goal at the end. This is kind of why you're still in college and need to stay in college.
So to your point then about, making sure that the kids are staying in college and are adjusted. So Cristo Rey is part of a national network then. So tell us a little bit about how you all kind of partner together.
Yes. Cristo Rey is a network of 40 schools. And Cristo Rey Tampa is the charter school in the state of Florida. Cristo Rey opened up at Miami in 2022, and then Orlando is opening up this coming fall. So it'll be nice to have sister schools with a full enrollment there. As presidents, we've already talked about having like a sports competition and visiting each other and having those things that you can do as a network. Yeah. The model is in, like I said, 40 different cities in the United States. We have a very good collaboration with the other schools. I'm in touch with a lot of different presidents. And while one size doesn't necessarily fit all, we can talk about some of the problems, some concerns. I've never been in education. These resources are lifelong educators and have been a world of information for me, as I struggle, as I try to learn my way through what it is to head a school. These are some of the best resources out in the network that have managed it. And we all face the same challenging business model. So we know what it's like to go through the Cristo Rey model.
So you all also partner with colleges and universities too, though, right?
Absolutely. So we have over 60 university partners. Now, Jenny, what that means is that we have universities that we talk to that understand what the Cristo Rey model is. They understand the demographic of students we have. And a lot of times, finances are at the top of the list of our students. They can't afford what a normal family can afford to pay for colleges, and those costs are skyrocketing. So they understand that scholarships, awards, grants, those type of things, they really help our students get through. The other important thing about these university partners is they have actually counseling centers that cater towards first-gen students. So they will help us. They will partner with us to kind of talk to the students and make sure there's someone to talk to, there's some place to go to remind them of why you're in college, why it's so important, what's the path to get out of cycle poverty. So they'll have somebody on campus along with our alumni advisor to make sure they stay on track. So to your point then about the graduation, Cristo Rey Tampa is relatively new, right? Correct. 2016 we started.
Okay, so how many graduating classes have you had so far?
We are young. We've had our first 4-year graduating class out of college last year. Now, usually we measure more of on 6-year scale, so we're getting those numbers as we go, but we're excited because we're starting to see some of the numbers of college graduates and what they're doing and where they're going to be going.
And you have 100% of your students go on to college?
So we have a 100% acceptance rate. And so I just found out last night from our college counselor that all of our seniors have now been accepted to at least one college university, most of them to at least 4. So it's amazing because now they have a choice. They can look at where they want to go, depending on majors, location, that type of stuff. Jennifer does an amazing job because it's not just a name. And I know I get caught up in the name game sometimes with colleges. Jennifer really is concerned about best fit for our students. So it's not just name, is this the right place? Like, do you want to go to this state? Do you want to go to this size college? Do you want to go to this major? And maybe, you get caught up in maybe Ivy League and all that kind of name stuff, and that's great, but maybe that's not the right fit for our students, that they're going to persist through college, and that we make sure we help them make those right decisions.
Having visited your campus, it's really neat to see how you all celebrate. Like I saw that there was a board where every time somebody gets accepted into a school, they get the school logo on a board. And then don't you all have a little tradition too, like when the student decides where they're going to go, you have like a little celebration too for them?
There are. And I'll talk about it. There's actually a couple of stages to that. And this is extremely special for me because I started midway through the school year. So one of the first events I went to is what we call bell ringing ceremony. So for an entire week, we have our seniors go out and we have a big bell at the front of our campus. And what we'll do is we'll announce all the colleges and universities that they got accepted to, and they'll ring the bell. And then usually they'll have family there, work study partners will show up. And it's kind of the first real sign that, this is becoming a reality in terms of going to college. They've named their colleges, we're ringing the bell, we're celebrating it. And it was special for me. I was only a couple months on the job, and I'm looking at these kids' faces. I mean, it's like you see them as 8th graders, and they have no idea, what's going to go on. They're lost. To see them as seniors, and now they're deciding between one of 6, 7, 8 college universities, and it's real because they're going to be the first ones in their family. It's a special moment. So that's the first kind of piece that you would ask me about. The second one is decision day. So what we do is in the gym, they'll sit there and we'll have a big celebration, and they're all wearing jackets, and then they'll go up on stage, and then we'll announce, okay, we know which ones you were accepted to. Which college did you actually decide to go to? They'll pull down their jacket, and we'll show a sign with all the colleges they got accepted into, and then
that's awesome.
It is. It's a special moment. And then, of course, graduation is the final step when they're done.
And so you said that you've got now a couple classes that have now gone all the way through 4-year university.
Right.
So have you been able to kind of contact them, or what are those students doing now?
Yes. We have Jeremy. He graduated, I believe, one of our first classes. He graduated from Rice University. I believe he was our valedictorian back then. He was a Questbridge scholar, and he majored in mechanical engineering and working there. I know we have one student that's about to graduate, Duncan. He's actually at the University of Tampa. He's a business major. He works at the county clerk's office. In fact, this morning we had a CEO breakfast, and one of our testimonials from existing partners was from his partner. And just what an amazing young man he is. He actually decided to extend. So he could have graduated, but he wanted to extend his education another semester so he can get a cybersecurity certification and be much more equipped to get a better job. So this is the kind of maturity and thinking that is incredible to hear.
Yeah, these are special kids. I meant to ask this earlier, but you just mentioned that there's schools that are going to open up in Orlando, Miami, and then Tampa is newer. So what was the impetus for opening up a school in Tampa? And then how do you all as a network decide, is it a matter of being underserved, or how do you determine when to and how to open up a new school?
There is a lengthy process, Jenny, to kind of vet the opening of a school, and they call that a feasibility study. So they kind of do an analysis on the landscape of the city, what schools are there, what jobs are there, locations of facilities that can be used, a lot of different things that come into the feasibility study. Now, then they say, all right, is there the right finances to start the school? Obviously, it takes quite a bit. So all that goes into a 2-year feasibility study. And then they go into launch, which is about a year to 18 months. Sometimes they'll extend that, where they'll start hiring what they call as a founding president. And the founding president will start the operations. They'll start looking around for work study partners, advancement teams. They'll start looking at education. Usually you start out with just a freshman class, getting the teachers in place of facilities. So I know my counterpart in Orlando, Amanda, she's done a heck of a job. They're starting up, like I said, in the fall. They've done all the right steps to go through. They've got the building, they've got the backers, they've got the jobs, and I'm excited to see them start up. It's a process, and the network's very careful. They don't want to grow too far, too fast. I know the goal is to get to 50 schools probably within the next 3 to 5 years.
And that's, again, across the country?
Yes, nationally.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. What do you see as the future for Cristo Rey here in Tampa?
So we are a young school, And the most amazing thing is when I go out, and I try to go out a lot and talk to people in the community about who we are as Cristo Rey, and many times, wow, they love it, but they'd never heard of us. So we've been here 7, 8 years, and they've never heard about us. How can we support? How can we help? I know we want to try to grow our class size. We're at about 220 right now, a little over 220. We want to get to about 300 in the next several years. But one, we want to grow wisely and methodically, not just grow for the sake of growing. I know there's students out in the community that just don't know about Cristo Rey. They don't know the options, and that's why I want to go out. And the first step is to bring these students in, make sure these families are aware. Cristo Rey is available. This is what our mission is, and this is what our aims are, to break the cycle of poverty through education and work experience. So I want to grow. Ideally, we'd like to get a new facility. We're on a beautiful campus of Mary Help of Christians. We're on the lake. You saw, you were there. Mm-hmm. It's a great environment. I would like to have a nice building for us with a separate entrance, with security, a new gym, all this kind of things that I go to other schools and I see. I'd like to have that on top of the property we have. I think it would just be a game changer for a lot of these families to see the property along with updated facilities.
So part of it's just getting the word out that this kind of model and this kind of school even exists. And, we should have mentioned, I don't think we did yet, is that so the Students Work Study program covers a part of the tuition, correct?
Correct. We really have 3 main legs of our revenue. One of it is being work study. One of it is being the Step Up for Students. That's a state voucher we get. Mm-hmm. And then third part is advancement. We really want to focus on work study and advancement being the main pieces of our revenue, and the Step Up is sort of on the back burner. So we really like 40-40 with work study and advancement, and 20% from the state. But work study is really the crux of it, right? So I was always told, we much rather have somebody give us a job than just give us a check, because it's much more meaningful. Our students are engaged, and there's much more than just kind of receiving it. I mean, we gladly take the money.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think the work study is really where we want to keep building. So, yeah, the future is I would like every student to be in a funded job. I mean, we have a lot of nonprofits, and we do good work out there. We just need more and more partners with us on our mission.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to get there for sure. What do you see now that you've kind of gone from corporate into nonprofit education, and I'm imagining that you've probably learned a lot over the last couple of years. What do you think or maybe are some of the misconceptions that people might have about these students or even these families that you serve?
I think that when I go out, Jenny, and talk to them this is who we are as a school, there's a lot of misconceptions, maybe some wrong stereotypes about, lower income, they come from certain backgrounds, that they're incapable of doing it. They're lazy, or they've chose to be in this situation. And that is so incorrect. They're just looking for an opportunity that Cristo Rey Tampa provides to them. They are hard workers. I have seen these, and you talked about how do they handle work and school and the home stuff. You can't do it just by being lazy and passing things off. These kids at our school work extremely hard, and they are so wanting to learn. They're so appreciative of everything they have and the opportunity that Cristo Rey gives them. So when I talk to them about that, first one I say is they are capable, right? When you try to convince somebody in corporate, hey, you got a high school student, maybe from lower income, I'm like, I don't know. And just give us a chance. They'll see within probably the first semester the amazing things they can do and the challenges they can overcome. Even better, I've heard partners tell me, Jenny, that our students are probably better than some of their existing full-time employees.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I could probably agree with that, back in my day.
Of course, yeah. Well, Dr. Patrick Liang, thank you so much for sharing with us about Cristo Rey and this whole educational model and all the wonderful things you're doing, I know, for Tampa Bay, but then just the network in general, just really working to help to break the cycle of poverty. And we really appreciate your time and everything that you're doing to help kids.
Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciated the opportunity to speak about something I love, a mission that's phenomenal. So thank you.
And I can tell. I can absolutely tell you're super passionate about it. So thank you for spending the time with us.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for spending your time with Think Bigger Voices. Visit thinkbigforkids.org/podcast to see more episodes, follow our journey, and stay connected.